Modeled education as a lifestyle. Example, they say, is the best teacher. And this is the notion that lies behind modeled education as a lifestyle, that in the classroom, the goal is to give examples, the goal is to model certain behavior which the students are then expected to repeat. And this is also backed by Albert Bandura, the Albert Bandura theory on social learning. Okay, the whole idea that, well, we learn by watching others, by emulating what they do, and by trying to repeat those same things in the way we learn in order to acquire those learning skills. But the question is, should this really be just a tactic of the classroom? Can we not take this outside the classroom and into the world? Can this not be a lifestyle that we imbibe, that we strive with our lives to teach constantly? Of course, this means that in the first place, we have to learn what we are trying to teach. It's not a question of, well, trying to impose. No, we are living virtues, we are living human qualities, we are living things that help to improve social getting on together. Now, if we look at the great things, the great learning moments that we have had, what are those moments? What do they consist of? You will see that the times that we have learned a lot are times when we have observed things that people do. We have learned from people. We have seen examples that have struck us powerfully. I had one of such moments in about 1986. At that time, Nigeria was at the peak of an economic depression. I was in university at the time, and I went to my father, civil servant, who was a lecturer, a consultant in the university, and of course, money was short for everybody. I went to my father to ask for money because I had to go back to school. And my poor father, of course, I knew what he was going through, opened his wallet, took out everything that he had in that wallet and gave it to me. And he said, "Is that enough?" What did I learn? I learned generosity. The great generosity of a parent willing to give everything that he has to a child of his. Of course, in that, I also was able to reciprocate in that moment, because then I realized he didn't have anything else. So I took just part of it and I gave back to him. I had learned a good lesson, generosity. There are 3 steps that we can take towards this goal of modeling education as a lifestyle. The goal primarily is to strive for personal improvement by also trying to improve others. And the 3 steps that we can take. The first one, be the lesson that you want to teach. Of course, you could say to me, isn't that rather playing to the gallery? I want to teach you, so I behave in a certain way. But that's not quite the case. You and I know, we've heard so many stories of successful persons, people who are well followed, they have large followings, and we know what has happened many times, that sometimes a certain truth comes to light, and people feel deceived, the great deception, that this person whom we held so highly, really in his or her private life, is just a cheapskate. And there's a great deception. So being the lesson that we want to teach is more than merely giving examples to people. It is that we live the values that we want others to imbibe. It's authenticity. If I'm authentic, it's based on the fact that, well, I am living what I preach. so to speak. It's also to believe what we are trying to live. We do not really manifest that warm authenticity in things that we don't believe, in things that we are merely acting out. If I do not believe in those things, well, then it comes across to everybody that, well, I'm simply putting on a show. St. Josemaria Escrivá has a very nice saying around that. He said, don't be an icy model that people can admire but not want to imitate. We have to strive for values that come across as warm, welcoming, such that people truly want to imitate because they see that, yes, it does have a positive impact on one's own life. The second step is be the change that you want to see. We complain a lot. We all complain a lot. The government is not working, the roads are bad, the economy is disastrous, so on and so forth. Everything, we complain about so many things. But supposing we focus instead on trying to effect changes in the little spaces that we find ourselves. We can't change the world, no, but we can change our space. If we want to be the change that we want to see, well, we have to put in an effort ourselves. The little square meter that I occupy, I will try to put in place the changes that I want to see. I came across a saying which says that we can't change other people, but we can influence the changes in other people. Okay? To change us, well, there's a certain volition involved. I have to want to change, so that none of us can change another person in any way whatsoever, because it's interior, there's freedom involved. But if we give good examples, if we present influences that others want to emulate, yes, then we can lead to change. And it begins by trying to change the little spaces that we find ourselves. The third step is be in the details. Our lives are made up of so many, 1,000, hundreds of little things. Nothing is ever born big. No. There are so many little details. And if we want to be authentic, it means that we cannot live our lives in compartments. We cannot focus only on the big things. In the lives of all of us, the big things are not common, really. They may never even come. None of us, perhaps, will have the chance to recreate some of the beautiful things we see in the world, all those magnificent monuments. We may not have those opportunities, but we do have the hundreds of little opportunities to make a difference in our lives. And faithfulness to those little details is what will lead to a wider change, a change in our lives, because really we're trying to live out our quest for change, our quest for improvement, personally on the one hand, and then to influence others. And it comes in the little details. A story I came across said that the wise man, walking on the beach early one morning, came across a young man. And the young man was also walking down the beach. He will stoop, pick up a starfish, and throw it back into the sea. The wise man was a bit curious. He said, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, the sun is going to come up soon," the young man said. "And when it does, all the starfish which have been washed up on the shore will die because the heat will get to them. So what I'm trying to do is, well, to throw them back before the sun comes up so that they survive." And the wise man said, "But the beach is hundreds of miles. You're not going to be able to do much of anything." The young man didn't reply. He bent down, picked up another starfish, and threw it back into the sea. And he said, well, it made a difference for that one. And truly, that's how it is. We may not be able to change the big things, but we can change the small things. Imagine how it will be if we all really set out to make a difference by focusing on the little things, by focusing on the things that we can change, with that goal of modeling education, not because we think we are better than anybody else, but simply because we want to be better ourselves. That, I think, would be a fantastic and simple way to change the world. Thank you for listening.